Hey, mighty men of God, Dr. Joe Martin here with Real Men Connect, where we help good men become great men God's way by providing real answers to real problems in the real world. Welcome to the Real Men Ride Along today, guys. I wanted to shoot a quick video because I get a lot of questions and emails from men all over, not only this country, but all over the world. Thank you guys for emailing me, sharing our videos, visiting our website and everything. I really appreciate it. But every so often I get sent a question that typically when I get a question from you guys, I kind of put it out there in the social media on my group pages or into my private community of men who help me give you some of the best answers to some of your problems. But every now and then someone sends me a question that I want to relate to personally that I could share with them. And one of the questions that we received was from a man who asked the question, Joe, what do you do when everything that you do stops working? What do you do when everything you do stops working? Now, what he was referring to is that it seems like no matter what he tries to do, nothing seems to work. There seems to be obstacle after obstacle, barrier after barrier, some type of distraction after distraction, and he's becoming very discouraged and he doesn't know what to do. And so he doesn't understand, to the point that he believes that he's attracting bad stuff happening to him. Have you ever been there where things just seem to go wrong no matter what you try to do? It doesn't work out and you think, man, if it wasn't for any bad luck, I would have no luck at all. Well, I responded to him, and this is what I shared with him, and I think it'll bless you because I've also shared this a lot with my son. And this is just basically, it's a story that gives you the answer, or at least some advice on how to address this issue. When you get so discouraged in your spirit, when you believe that whatever you do is just not working out and you just feel like giving up and throwing in the towel, here's what I told him, and I'm going to summarize it in a nutshell, and then I'm going to explain a little bit deeper. Basically what I told him is that you need to change your focus because you get what you focus on. Let me say that again. That we need to change our focus when things are going wrong and things are going south and we're missing the mark. We need to change, at least examine our focus, because if we get what we focus on, so we need to change our focus. Now, the best way I tried to explain this to him, because I know he probably, when he first read it, probably thinking, Joe, I've heard this before. I think I have good focus. Well, let me share this story with you that kind of brings it to clarity and gives you some 20/20 vision on this. Now, I don't know if any of you, I know we have, living in the South, we have a lot of people who are NASCAR racers or NASCAR fans. But there's also another form of racing called Indy driving. And if you've ever watched the Indianapolis 500, these cars are zooming around the track at some ungodly speeds. It's amazing that someone doesn't die in every single race. Well, there was a famous race car driver by the name of Mario Andretti. Some of you who are older than probably 35 will have heard of him before because he's won several Indianapolis 500 races. Now you have to understand that I'm not exactly sure on the speeds that they get up to, but I believe it's over 200 miles per hour. That is crazy. Now imagine driving around an oval track at 200 plus miles per hour. Now Mario Andretti, not only was he a champion driver, he's won several championships. So you can imagine this guy is considered one of the best drivers in the world. Well, my background is in communication. I got my undergrad degree in public relations. And one of the things we all had to do is we had to learn how to present ourselves in the media as far as interview people. Well, one day after a race, after Mario Andretti had won an Indianapolis 500 race, he was interviewed by a journalist. Now, the reason why I gave you my background in public relations and journalism, because I'm just going to confess, we ask a lot of stupid questions. How do you feel when your dog just died? Feeling sad. But anyway, well, one of the journalists asked Mario Andretti a question that he thought was pretty kind of lame. Well, he didn't say it was lame, but his response was like, duh. Well, the question that they asked him right after he finished the race was, Mario, we like to ask you a question. You won your whatever number race he had won. He says, when you're driving around that race car track over 200 miles per hour, aren't you afraid? Aren't you fearful for your life? And he says, what do you mean? Can you explain? He says, well, when you're driving around that track and going over 200 miles per hour, aren't you afraid you're going to hit the walls because the road is not that wide and the walls are made of concrete. And if you lose control and you hit that wall, your car will be destroyed and your life will be taken. Doesn't that frighten you? Doesn't that make you afraid? And Mario Andretti looked at the journalist and said, no, of course. He says, of course I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid of, he says, I'm not afraid of crashing. I'm not afraid of hitting the wall. And then the journalist said, why not? He said, because when I'm driving that car at over 200 miles per hour, I'm focused on the road, not the wall. Let that sink in for just a second. He says, when I'm driving my race car, yes, I know that death is possible. Yes, I know that injury is possible. I know a catastrophe is possible. But I'm not driving in fear, because when I'm on that car track, when I'm on that race car track, I'm not focused on the wall that could bring me death. I'm focused on the road that could bring me victory. Guys, you need to let that sink in for just a second. That's what I shared with this man. When you look at your life, and if you're struggling really in a tough season right now, examine your focus first. What are you focused on? Are you focused on Christ or your crisis? Are you focused on the obstacles around you, or are you focused on the openings that exist? Are you focusing on the difficulties in your life, or are you focused on the opportunities in your life? Man, we get what we focus on. We get that in our families, in our marriages, on our jobs, in our businesses. It is so easy to be discouraged. But when we focus on Christ and not our crisis, 9 times out of 10, we're going to avoid death and we're going to achieve victory. Guys, I hope that this blessed you. And if it did, please, if you know someone who's going through a real tough season in their life right now and needs a word of encouragement and needs to regain their focus and focus on the openings, not the obstacles, share this video with them. It could bless them potentially. And guys, as always, remember, we are males by birth, but we are men by choice. So each and every day, choose to be the man of God that God has called and created you to be, because a male is a terrible thing to waste. Till next time, I'll talk to you soon. Be blessed, stay strong, and as always, stay in God's grip. Talk to you soon.